Dear colleagues, this is a white mature cataract with mid-dilated pupil. These cases are dangerous because chances of posterior capsular rent is much more in such cases. You don't know the character of the posterior capsule. You don't know whether there is posterior polar cataract hidden or not, and you cannot make an adequate sized rhexis. Prolapsing of the nuclear fragments may be difficult if the rhexis is small, and many other factors make this surgery critical. However, we have to manage such cases with some precautions. By this time, in this case, all the incisions have been made and anterior capsule has been stained with trypan blue dye. And now capsulorhexis is to be done, and capsulorhexis has to be adequate sized. So the anticapsule has been incised with a 26 gauge bent needle, and now I use Evita forceps. In this case I have to go along the border of the pupil to get an adequate sized rhexis. Just go along the border. And I have been able to do a rhexis of adequate size. And now what to do about the nucleus? I'm doing hydrodissection with some apprehension in my mind because that it can be a posterior polar cataract. However, I did hydrodissection and the nucleus rotated nicely. And now is the time to manage the nucleus with the ultrasonic energy. In this case, I am going to use Oatley Cataract's 3 phacoemulsion, and I am going to do direct chop. Let us see how I chop the nucleus. Go in, remove some cortical matter. Now I bury the tip into the substance of the nucleus, travel through the nucleus for some distance and chop it. I call it submarine chop because a submarine moves through water in the same way as the tip of the phaco handpiece moves. And this is another chop. I am not going to emulsify the fragments unless I chop all the fragments, because this is a cataract which, if I start chopping, if I start emulsifying, I'll not be able to see where are the pieces going. So better to chop the nucleus into as many fragments as I want. One more large fragment. This is the large fragment, and I am dividing it again into 2 pieces, and that's it. And now once this is done, I tilt the fragments, get on to the apex of each fragment and emulsify it. And this is a very safe technique. Just tilt the nucleus and emulsify it, start emulsifying it from the apex. These fragments are wedge-shaped, are triangular, and the apex, if we can start from the apex, the base sits on the posterior capsule, and the base will not cause pressure on a point. It will sit on the posterior capsule on a large area, and the posterior capsule will be protected. This is the last fragment. Remove the chopper, make the antechamber more stable, and then emulsify this fragment. I remain the tip rock steady at the center of the pupil at the anterior capsular plane. That's it. The nucleus has been managed. Now cortical matter has to be managed. Viscoelastic substance is injected, and in this case I'm going to use a 23 gauge Simcoe cannula. See how I am catching the cortical matter. Sweep the Simcoe under the iris, get hold of some cortical matter, pull it towards the center. See here, I'm sweeping it and a large chunk of cortical matter came off. I'm going through the left side port and removing the cortex now from 9 o'clock. That's it. It has been a very satisfactory removal of cortical matter. And now is the time to polish the posterior capsule. What I do is I take this irrigating probe and gently sweep over the posterior capsule, directing the jet of fluid towards the posterior capsule. This causes dislodgement of all the lens fibers. And now is the time to implant an intraocular lens. Here I just checked if some more cortical matter is there or not. And now is the time to implant the intraocular lens. In this case, the IOL is being implanted, keeping the antechamber formed by the irrigating probe. And here goes the lens. And the irrigating probe places the trailing haptic in the capsular bag. Earlier days I used to take help of a Sinskey hook, but nowadays I can manage with the irrigating probe itself. This is a bit of moxifloxacin, and now the side ports are hydrated and a final lavage is done. Antechamber is formed and the case is concluded. So in this case, what I want to put emphasis on is, in white mature cataract and mid-dilated pupil is very critical. We must be very gentle. We must chop the nucleus into fragments, and once all the chopping has been done, then emulsify the fragments. It will be easy to handle the nuclear pieces once they are chopped. Thank you very much for your attention.